Hi Year 6, happy Monday. Welcome to another week of maths lessons. This week we're carrying on looking at area, and today we're going to be looking at the area of a triangle. Before we go into the main part of our lesson though, we've got our 6 arithmetic questions. Remember, you might find these harder on a Monday, but hopefully when I go through the answers you get the idea of how to do the questions, and you should find them a little bit easier the rest of the week. Okay, so if you pause the video now and have a go at these questions. Okay, hopefully you've had an opportunity to try those out then. Question 1, we've got 5 with a little 2 next to it. That means 5 squared. So, and 5 squared means we're doing 5 times 5. Okay, 5 times 5, the answer we were looking for there is 25. Okay, question 2, we've got 0.5 times 450. We've had this kind of question before. 0.5, if you remember, is the same as a half. So this question is basically saying what is a half of 450. So I would do, well, I would try and do this in my head. What is half of 400? That's 200. What is half of 50? That's 25. So half of 450 is 225. Question 3. We've got 5 times 3 minus 2. This question is testing your knowledge of BODMAS and whether you have remembered BODMAS. So when you see a question with more than one operation, I would always recommend writing out BODMAS for yourself. Now, bit of a recap then. What does it stand for? We've got brackets, order of indices, which means things like square and cube numbers, divide, multiply, add, subtract. Okay, in this question we've got a multiplication and a subtraction, so we've got an M and an S. M comes first, so we've got to do our multiplication first. So first of all we've got to do 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. Then we're going to do our subtraction. 15 take away 2 gives us the answer 13. Okay, question 4, we have got a fraction. Here we've got the fraction 2/5, and we are dividing that fraction by a whole number. When we do that, I like to remember it as D for divide, D for denominator. So it's the denominator that's going to change here. So my numerator, my 2, stays on the top, and my denominator is going to change. And what I do is I times, even though the question says divide, I times the denominator by the whole number. So I do 3 times 5, which gives me 15. So my answer is 2/15. Question 5, find a fraction of an amount. Now we did have this on Friday's arithmetic quiz, but it has been a little while since we've done it in class. So to find a fraction of an amount, we have to divide by the denominator and then times by the numerator. So first of all, I've got to divide by the denominator. So 40 divided by 5. Using my multiplication facts that I know, 40 divided by 5 is 8. Okay, so, and then I've got to do times by the numerator. So 8 times 4 gives me the answer 32. So for this kind of question, divide by the denominator, times by the numerator. Okay, question 6, a fraction times a fraction. To solve that kind of question, I multiply the numerators and I multiply my denominators. So first of all, I do 4 times 2 on the top. 4 times 2 is 8, so my numerator becomes 8. And on the bottom, I multiply my denominators, so I do 5 times 3, which is 15. So my answer is 8/15. The stretch questions, if you had a go at those today. Question 1, the answer was 265,939. And question 2, the answer we were looking for was 36. Okay, over into our daily times table practice then. So give yourself a minute, pause the video and have a go at the times table on the screen. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to have a go at that then, Year 6. We are now going over into the main part of our lesson then. And I can find the area of triangles. So we're going to be looking at how to do that. Before we start though, a little recap from last week. I have got a rectangle and a square on the screen with the measurements for each of the sides. Can you pause the video and work out the area of both my rectangle and of my square? Okay then, year 6. Hopefully you remembered then to find the area of a rectangle or a square. We just do the length times the width. So for this rectangle, I would do 5 times 3. So 5 times 3 is 15. And we measure area in centimetres squared. So 15 centimetres squared. Okay, for my square, I would do 3 times 3. So my area of my square is 9 centimetres squared. Okie dokes. What I'm going to do now then is I'm going to delete that rectangle and I'm going to delete that square. Okay, hopefully you can see now that my rectangle, where my rectangle was, I've got 2 triangles that fit together to make the same shape that that rectangle was. And I've got 2 squares and 2 triangles here that fit together to make that shape where the square was. If to find the area of a rectangle, we do the length times the width, and the same for a square, I wonder if you can pause the video now and see if you can guess how you might find the area of a triangle, given what I've showed you on the screen. Okay, year 6. I don't know if you managed to guess it, but to find the area of a triangle, we do, just like the rectangle, we would do what we call the base times the height of the triangle, which for the rectangle was the length times the width, and then we half it. And the reason that we half it is because a triangle is half of a rectangle or half of a square. Okay, so I have got some triangles here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the base and the height, and then I'm going to half it for each one. I'm going to move this over so that you can see the keys to success clearly. Right, so first of all, following my keys to success, count the squares along the base. The base of something is the bottom of something in general. Okay, so I'm looking at this triangle here, and the base, or the bottom of my triangle, is this line here. So first of all, I'm going to count the squares along the base. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the base of my triangle is 3 squares, and I'm going to count the squares up the side. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I've counted the squares along the base. I've counted how many squares tall the triangle is. Next, I need to multiply the 2 together. 3 times 3 is 9, and then I need to half my answer. Because remember, to find the area of a triangle, I've got to half it. It's half the base times the height. So 3 times 3 is 9, and then I need to know half of 9, which is 4.5. Still give my answer in centimetres squared, so it's 4.5 centimetres squared. Okay, next we've got another triangle then. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. This time the triangle looks a bit different, but I'm still doing exactly the same thing. So along the bottom, my base is 2. Hopefully you can see that that is 2 centimetres wide, or 2 squares wide. My height then, I just need to know how many squares tall it is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the way to the tip of that triangle, 5. Okay, so it's 5 tall. So base is 2, height is 5, 2 times 5 is 10, and then I must remember to half my answer. So half of 10, the area of this triangle here is 5 centimetres squared. Okay, the next triangle then, exactly the same. This time it's similar to this triangle but upside down. Still got to do the base times the height. Okay, I need to pause the video now and see if you can work out what the base of this triangle is. Okay, the base of this triangle is 2 squares or 2 centimetres. It's just because my triangle has just been turned upside down, but that still is what would be the bottom of the triangle. It's still the base of my triangle. So the base is 2 centimetres, and the height, I've got to go from the bottom all the way down. So we go 1, 2, 3. The height is 3 centimetres. Okay, multiply them together and half it. 2 times 3 is 6. Half it is 3 centimetres squared. Okay, so finding the area of a triangle is very similar to finding the area of a rectangle or square. You just have to remember that final step, which is to half it. Okay then, Year 6, I'd like you to pause the video and try to find the area of these 5 different triangles that you've got on the screen. Okay, I will go through the answers. So for number 1, the base was 2, the height was 2, 2 times 2 is 4, half it, the answer was 2 centimetres squared. Question 2, the base was 3, the height was 3, so 3 times 3 is 9, half it, the answer I was looking for was 4.5 centimetres squared. Question 3, the base was 3, the height was 4, 3 times 4 is 12, half it, the answer was 6 centimetres squared. Question 4, the base is 4, the height is 4, 4 times 4 is 16, half it, the answer is 8 centimetres squared. And question 5, my base is 1, my height is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, half it, my answer was 0.5 or half a centimetre squared. Okay, we're moving on then to Fluency 2. Now Fluency 2 is no different. The only difference is this time we're taking the measurements that we've been given rather than counting the squares. So I'm still going to multiply the base times the height and then half my answer afterwards. Okay, so first of all I've got 4 times 5, which gives me 20. My height is 5, my base is 4, multiply those together is 20, half it. So my blue triangle here, the answer would be 10 centimetres squared. Okay, similarly the yellow one, I would do 5 times 6, 5 times 6 is 30, half it, the answer I'm looking for is 15 centimetres squared. Okay then, Year 6, do you want to pause the video and just have a go at the red and the purple triangles and see if you can find the area of those triangles? Okay, hopefully you've had a go at that then. And the red triangle then, the base is 6, the height is 12, we had to do 6 times 12, which is 72, half it, 36 centimetres squared was the answer. And the purple one, you had to do 9 times 5, which was 45, and half it, so we were looking for the answer of 22.5 centimetres squared. Okay, some more fluency questions for you to have a go at then. So the next 4, if you pause the video and have a go at the next 4 triangles and finding their area. Okay, I'll go through the answers then. So the blue triangle, we were looking for 6 centimetres squared. The yellow triangle, 17.5 centimetres squared. The red triangle, 120 centimetres squared. The purple triangle, 66 centimetres squared. Okie dokes. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to have a go at some questions on maths.co.uk then, Year 6. These are the kind of questions that you'll get. You'll get some questions just like we've been doing in the fluency, but you also will get some questions that look a little bit like this. And they love to do this in a SAT-style test question on the area of a triangle. So I've been telling you throughout this lesson that we need to find the area of a triangle, we do the base times the height. But in this picture, they've given you 3 different measurements. So I want you to pause the video and decide which 2 measurements you're going to use, because we don't need the 3rd one. So pause the video and I want you to think about which 2 measurements we should use. Right, the 2 measurements we want to use then, we want this one and this one. Okay, because 5 centimetres is the base, that's the bottom of our triangle, and the height is 12 centimetres. That's how tall our triangle is. This measurement here, this 13 centimetres, it's not how tall it is. If you look at that arrow, it's on a slope, isn't it? Now that's not measuring how tall something is, that's measuring the length of that side of the triangle. which is actually longer than the height. Okay, because it's on a diagonal. So just be really careful when you do get onto maths.co.uk that you are definitely multiplying the base times the height. If they give you 3 measurements, you've got to be very careful to choose which one is the base and which one is the height. Don't fall into the trap of choosing the length of one of the sides. Okay, so here we would do 12 times 5, which is 60, and then we would half it. So our answer to this question would be 30 centimetres squared. Okay. What I'd like you to do then, Year 6, is pause the video and to go onto maths.co.uk. Once you have had a go at doing that, I would then like you to come back and watch the final part of the video where I'm going to go through a couple of reasoning questions with you. Okay, so now your next task then is maths.co.uk. If you're having a go at the stretch today, it's actually on a separate sheet. So there's a separate document in today's folder with the stretch on it, because there weren't any tricky questions really, or any really tricky questions on maths.co.uk today. So I've set you some extra tricky ones in the stretch document. Okay, I would like you to come back to this video though once you've done that, and we can have a look at a couple of reasoning questions. Okay then, Year 6, I hope you got on all right on maths.co.uk and you're feeling quite confident with finding the area of a triangle. On the screen then, I have got 2 triangles, my blue triangle and my yellow triangle. And somebody has found the area of these triangles and they have made some common mistakes. And they might even be mistakes that you've just made on maths.co.uk when you were doing your work. So the blue triangle, the person has said the area is 20 centimetres squared. The yellow triangle, this person has said that the area is 15 centimetres squared. Okay, what I want you to do is spot the mistake that the person has made and explain why that is a mistake, why that's not the right thing to do. So if you pause the video now, if you haven't already, pause the video now and have a go at those questions. Write the answers in your book. Okie dokes. So the blue triangle, the mistake that the person has made is they have done 4 times 5, which is 20 centimetres squared, but then they've written that as the area. They have forgotten to half it. Remember, to find the area of a triangle, we have to do the base times height and then half it. They have forgotten to half it. Okay, the person who's found the area of the yellow triangle, they have done 6 times 5, which is 30, and halved it to give 15. But remember here, 5, this 5 centimetres, that's not the height of the triangle, is it? That's the length of one of the sides. So what they should have done is done 4 times 6, which is 24, and then half that, which would give the answer 12 centimetres squared. So both of these people have made some common mistakes. Okay, Year 6, well done for today's lesson. In tomorrow's lesson, we're going to be having a look at finding the area of parallelograms. So, what I would like you to do is have a think about what a parallelogram looks like, if you can remember, and have a think if you think you might know how to find the area of a parallelogram. Okay. Don't worry if you don't know, you could have a little Google if you want to in the meantime, but in tomorrow's lesson I'll be telling you how we do that. Okay, Year 6, well done for today. I'll be back tomorrow with another lesson.